Everybody hates posting on LinkedIn. Now, I know there's some of you that enjoy the water cooler talk that comes with doing business and managing another social media network, but for most of us, it's kind of a chore. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly how I set up Claude Cowork in order to automate my posts to LinkedIn in a way that is authentic and is consistent. And I know what you're saying, Nick. There's no way AI can be authentic, but I promise if you go through the setup that I'm going to show you today, you can bring it to a level where it really captures your tone of voice and you are providing value for you, your business, and for your community. So first and foremost, I have an open source GitHub that I have put together containing everything I'm going to show you inside of this project today. It's free for anybody who wants to go grab it. Plug it into Claude Cowork and can get you going on your LinkedIn automated journey. So once you go to GitHub, what you're going to do is you're going to download this repository to your computer. And no, this is not a Claude skill. I deliberately did not make it a skill because in Claude's current format, skills have to be zip files, which means that you can't open them up, you can't edit what's inside of them. So I'm providing you with all of the folders in exactly the way that I set up so that you can begin on your automation journey. So once you download this code, and you can do that by downloading it by clicking on code and then click download zip if you want to go that way, or if you know how to use Git and GitHub, if you're part of Light School and you learn that skill, you can just do git clone and this will bring these folders down to your computer. So let me actually once you download them, let me open these up so you can actually see what's inside of them. So this is Cursor, it's a text editor, and I'm gonna show you guys what's actually inside of these files and folders, okay? So the first thing is strategy. So this is basically a massive prompt that's going to show you, it breaks down exactly what we are trying to do. So we want people to, in my context, join an online workshop or send me a DM to potentially do a training for them or their teams. And I'm also being very specific with what not to do. So I don't want it to be AI hype, like the things that, oh, breaking news, this is happening, right? I definitely don't want it to use M dashes. That's something that a lot of AI do. But notice that I'm actually being very specific with what I don't want it to do. I even put in some of the content types. Now, these might be different for you guys. Obviously, I teach AI. This is my job. And so you want to go ahead and install what types of content are you trying to do. Content can mean a lot of different things. And so what I normally do is put in here, what are the things that you're working on? Maybe it's a project, maybe it's part of your business, right? And kind of put these in as different themes. And you also notice that I'm even being specific about the pillars and, interestingly enough, the cadence, right? We want to be specific as to how often we want to post it. If you want to get this thing started, I generally recommend starting with 1 post per day, maybe skip the weekends. If you're doing 3, 4, 5, 6 posts a day, it might not be the best way to start off. It's better to build confidence with this engine before you continue, just spam posting all the time. So past the strategy, the next thing we have is context. And so I deliberately designed this into 3 different categories in this project. You have context. So this context should be a bit about you as the founder, as the person, right? Or a little bit about your business, right? Like, what are the things that you do, right? What are the things that you're selling? Why are you on LinkedIn in the first place? Maybe it's a bit about your job, maybe it's a bit about your services. And then I also put in some brand guidelines. So here I'm actually creating a tone of voice, right? I have a personal tone of voice and a description of what I do and don't do. Now, again, what I want you to do is open this up and really make this about you, right? Like don't just start posting as Nick Stroff on LinkedIn. I want you actually to go into this project once you've actually downloaded it to your computer and edit these files. And I want you to spend more time than what you might think is necessary, specifically about on the bit about you, a bit about your business, and on your brand guidelines. The reason being that these files can move with you from project to project. It's not very often that information about me changes, not very often information about the business changes. Maybe it's like once a quarter. And so I want you to put an inordinate amount of time into the context of what it is you are creating, okay? The next thing we have are the SOPs. So this is kind of a breakdown of all the different steps that the project and Claude have to go through in order to create a LinkedIn post. So the first one is generating some post ideas, right? So obviously I worked in the AI space. There's always breaking news in AI. There's a lot of great blog posts, a lot of great articles, YouTube videos, podcasts, you name it. And so what I'll do is it usually starts with generating an idea, right? Moves into writing the post, maybe picking an image. If I want to have a carousel, it can do that. Posting to LinkedIn is its own step, and it analyzes the performance. Now, what's actually happening here is that I'm taking a massive task, right, which is writing LinkedIn posts, and I'm breaking it down step by step by step. No matter what you are using Claude Cowork to do, everything you're going to be doing is breaking down what it is you're doing into formulaic step-by-step process so the AI can pick up and run with it. And you kind of see my outline and my process for how I'm doing this today. So first thing I'm doing, I'm generating post ideas. I'm then going in, I'm writing the post, right? This obviously has a prompt inside of it. And you'll also notice that I'm also calling out the other files inside of the project as I'm doing this. Once we connect this to Claude Cowork, you are able to call out different files from different places. So I'm constantly reminding it to remember that it's Nick, right? Make sure to use my brand guidelines, right? Make sure to apply the strategy that I've already written, right? And as it's going through, I've actually numbered the steps so it knows what to actually go through. Now, this same process is going to be exactly the format that we follow for pretty much all the automations that we create, period, using AI. We're going to have some level of strategy, right? There's going to be content. Again, this should be moving with you from project to project. And you're going to have step-by-step instructions that the AI needs to follow. So you can take the same format I'm showing you today, and you can apply it to creating blog posts, checking your email, maybe it's like, or checking like your spreadsheet or something in the business, right? This same setup can move with you from project to project, and all you need to do is make sure the steps are accurate. Now we have our context, we have our SOPs. There's a fourth category that I call data. So data is just general data that can support the rest of the project. Now, depending on where you are at as a creator or as a business, this might look different for you. But for me, I have all my past blog posts. I have a place for them. I have past posts that I put onto LinkedIn. I have posts that I like. I'm running this project on my other computer, so this is full over there. I'm just setting this up fresh for you guys. And so what I recommend doing is if you have past newsletters or blog posts or Instagram carousels, any of that data, any of that copy that you've written in the past, I want you to dump it into data, okay? And so this data should be something that is updated regularly. Maybe it's new ideas that are coming out. Maybe it's some inspirational stuff you found from around the internet. Can come from a lot of different places, but I call it data because it's supposed to be general. It should be updated frequently as you're going through your process, okay? And so once you've actually went through the process of updating who you are as a business, who you are, right? Maybe you modify some of these files to be more to your liking. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to open up Claude, okay? And I'll just start this from scratch, all right? And what I want you to do is open up Cowork. So Cowork specifically has a really nice feature that allows us to actually use folders on our physical computer. So I want you to click on to New Project, okay? So it should look something like this. Go to Cowork, New Project. You're going to say use an existing folder. Now, you can start projects from scratch, right? You also can import them from chat, but we're not going to do that today. We're going to use an existing folder. And I want you to select the folder that you just downloaded from my GitHub, okay? So once you go and find that, I'm going to open it up, okay? And you can add a little description if you want to, but I'm going to go ahead and click Create. And now, suddenly, Cowork is now connected to that folder. You can see it right here. You can see that it's connected to it. Now, even though Cowork is connected, you can still open up any of these files, right, on your computer, and you can still update them, right? So you can go in and you can update the data, drag things in, update the step-by-step process, right? But once you have it set up, what I want you to do is I want you to just say, generate me a LinkedIn post using this project, okay? And so once you do that, it's going to start a task. And inside of here, the first thing it's going to do, it's actually going to analyze the project. It's going to understand the context, the strategy, the step-by-step instructions, and it's going to go through them, right? And it's going to begin understanding the project, right? And you can actually see over here, it's grabbing all the files within it, right? It's going to create a process for itself, and then it's going to actually begin calling its own tools in order to create the project, right? So you can see that it's now doing it, right? It's understanding the project, right? And the other interesting thing that I normally like to do is, yes, you can open up and you can update these files directly, right? You can open up the strategy doc, you can open up the context, you can update them by hand. But another really cool thing you can do is, let's suppose you had a project. So I could say something like, go to lightschool.com, understand what it is, and then update the business markdown file with my business context. So because Claude is smart and it's plugged into all of your systems, you could just say to it, hey, go to my LinkedIn profile. Hey, go to my website if you have it. Hey, go to my podcast transcripts. It'll grab that context and it will begin updating the project itself. And so obviously, like there's some settings that I have to do, but besides, it normally will work, okay? And so Claude can search the web, but even if it doesn't work, you can just drag and drop in a file. You can drag in anything that you want, and you can just ask the AI to update the project for you. This also means as it's generating its posts, right? So if I just say, generate my first post based on some stuff inside of your data, right? What I normally will do is I will give the automation feedback. So I'll go and I'll test the output, right? So I'll go through, let it run its process, and then I will understand the parts I do and don't like, and then I'll give it feedback. So I might ask it like, hey, talk inside of a less formal voice, or, for example, like, don't use this. Like, this one's a really sad story. It's a true story about my grandmother who was killed by someone texting while driving. And that's how I got into technology. Now, I actually like this post, but let's suppose I didn't want any sad stories, right? Maybe I can just like give that feedback. Hey, don't do any sad stories. And once you start doing that, it's going to update its own files, understand its own systems and processes. And what we're doing is we're giving feedback to the AI about how it is doing. And over time, right, just by sitting here, generating some posts, giving it feedback, instead of us actually just updating, because obviously I could just like copy this and then update it and then post it to LinkedIn, not a problem, right? But what I'm really doing is I'm giving the AI the ability to write its own rules, right? I'm updating the rules engine, right? I'm updating the files in the process it's going through instead of just updating the copy. Does that make sense? I hope it does. And so let's suppose now that I have it. So what I can now do is just say, post it to LinkedIn. And if you went through the process of actually setting up Claude Cowork correctly, you're inside of Light School, you've connected it to Chrome, you have connected it to all the other systems, what the AI is going to do, it's actually going to find the right connectors. In this case, it's going to be Claude in the browser, Chrome browser, right? And it's going to open up that LinkedIn tab, and it's going to begin the process of actually posting it to LinkedIn itself. Now, usually this step can kind of take a little bit of time, but it will eventually get there. So it will open up the browser and begin connecting it. And the way that it does that is through the Claude connector, or I'm sorry, the Chrome connector. So it's called Claude in Chrome. And so what you have to do is make sure you have Control Chrome set up as well as Claude in Chrome. These are your two connectors. And the way you do that is by going to here, going to settings, going to connectors, and just make sure you guys have these two set up, right? Should be Claude in Chrome and Control Chrome. If you don't know where they are, you can go in here, you can search Chrome, right? And you can actually set those up. And then what that enables it to do is it allows Claude to actually use the browser in order to do things. Another thing is you have to make sure you're logged in to the browser as well. So the way you do that is you go into Chrome. You can open up Claude in Chrome. You have this little extension here, and then just make sure that you're logged in. But once you have everything set up properly, the automation will run and will actually begin posting on your behalf. Now, just so we're clear, this is all new technology, right? Maybe it gets hung up, maybe it runs into an issue, maybe it, gives you feedback. But what I want you to do is run this a couple of times, make sure it is working from end to end, and begin working with the engine, begin giving it feedback. Right, this is an important step, is making sure it captures your tone of voice, right? It's pulling from the data properly, it's hitting the mark that you want. And then once that is in place, what you can actually do is you can go into your projects, right? And what you can do is inside of the project itself, because our project is already connected to our LinkedIn post automator, you can go over here and you can schedule the task. So I can just say post to LinkedIn daily, right? Just say post to LinkedIn daily, and I'll just say run the automation in the project to post to LinkedIn daily, right? Pretty straightforward. And down here, you can actually set the frequency for the project. So I would probably do daily. I think most people do this at 9 a.m. You can also choose which model to use. Now, for these automations that use the web browser, I typically normally use the higher model. So Sonnet is normally the default. So I would probably choose Opus. And then once this is set up, this is actually going to run every single day. And so it's going to run at 9 a.m. Now, let me be clear. Once you start running this thing, it will open up LinkedIn and begin posting to it. It knows how to use your browser. So just be mindful, because I have woken up to LinkedIn posts that I did not write. I've gotten engagement from those posts. One of them did pretty well. And so just be aware, once you set up this automation, it is going to be working with your computer. It's going to be working with your LinkedIn. It's going to be representing itself to the public that this is you creating a post on LinkedIn. So I normally recommend running this automation a couple of times. Make sure your tone of voice is right. Make sure it's hitting the mark in terms of what makes you you. And remember, you can either use the chat to update the files, you can give it rules, or if you really want to get under the hood, and I kind of recommend you do, at least for the bit about the business and about me, you can always open up the files and edit them directly. And those will also update them inside of the Claude project. So I thought this was just a really cool thing to set up. A lot of us know LinkedIn is important. A lot of us hate actually going on LinkedIn. It's a chore for anybody to post on social media. And so I just want to make you this quick video walking you through this. And yeah, if you want to learn this and so much more, please feel free to join us on Light School. We're teaching all kinds of things around Claude, Claude Cowork, the Claude ecosystem, keeping you up to date on the latest AI. So sending you all lots of love. Thank you so much for joining, and I hope you the best of luck on your automation journey.